It's good. Hi, Marcus.
Hello, how you doing?
Hi. We're good. We're good. Your first interview is with Jim's Barcelona of Miami Herald. He's on the call. So, Jim, over to you. Thank you, guys.
Oh,
One Championship Revolution is in America, 6:30 a.m., Friday, September 24th from Singapore. One Championship MMA is an outstanding competition. It mixes all different brands of combat sports and martial arts. So you get a little bit of everything with One Championship. And Marcus, you have a big fight coming up on there. You're a trainee here in South Florida. Tell us about your training in South Florida and who you're training with and how that's been going for you.
yeah, hello. First of all, big pleasure to be here. Training is going great. I moved to South Florida because was looking for better training for MMA. In California was being really hard. So in Florida, I have a great support. I'm training at American Top Team, and my main coaches are Catel Cubes, Steve Moco, Leonardo Vieira, and Diego Lacerda, and Conan Silveira. And my main training partners are Said, Soa, Marcelo Gomes, Marcos Rogério Pezão, Antônio Carlos Cara de Sapato, and among many others great fighters.
Marcus, what is it like having all those top trainers and all those top fighters in one place at American Top Team in South Florida, Coconut Creek?
Man, being honest, after living 10 years in California, to have everything in one place, it's for people who doesn't know, California is I think the worst traffic in the world. So if you have to drive for anything, it's horrible. And I used to spend a lot of time in my car driving to one gym to another gym, always like rush hour. So what's bad? And now I live 10 minutes. I'm living 10 minutes away from the gym. So it's like really comfortable, really easy. So I do conditioning. I do all the training in the same place. So for me, it's amazing. So, and like you said, it's a great facility and I don't have to go anywhere to do any kind of training. So I do Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, sparring, conditioning, everything in one place. For me, it's been great. It's been amazing.
And with that, Marcus, you're a heavyweight fighting on this big card for One Championship. What is it like being a part of One Championship and also One Championship Revolution?
Yeah, for me, it's been a great opportunity. I'm feeling really blessed. So once I met Chatri, first time that I came here to Singapore, I think 1 year ago, 2 years ago, and I could tell there was this event I want to fight, I want to be part of, because the way the athletes here are treated, not like just fighters, but as martial artists. So that's how I see myself, like a martial artist. That's Jiu-Jitsu always been my profession. So once I saw that, I realized that one is something that I want to be part of for sure. That's where I want to start my career, and that's why I decided to be part of it. So for me, it's been a great opportunity. I've been really blessed, thankful to be part of it. And like you said, to be in One Revolution card, it's something unbelievable. And I'm lucky that I'm just the third bout of the event. So after that, I can have the whole event just to sit back and relax and watch the great fights. Because, you know, if I'm like, of course, if you're a main event of something, you always going to be like taking a look on the TV, watching, but you're not going to be really watching because you're warming up, you're tense. So after my fight, I can just sit back and relax and watch the show. So it's going to be great.
Well, Marcus, it's good both ways, because it's good if you fight early, you get to watch all the other great action, but it's also good if you're a main event as well.
Yeah, but I'm not rushed about that. That's my first one, so I have my feet on the ground. So if my career goes good, eventually I can do some main events, but not right now. So still like we need to learn how to walk before we run. So I know that. So I don't mind being the first bout, the second bout, the third bout. But if the time comes, if I get the main event opportunity, it's gonna be great. But if the time comes, I'll be ready. But not right now.
Well, Marcus, your competitor, your opponent is Anderson Silva. And my first question is, when you heard the name of your opponent, did you think right away, wait a minute, am I fighting Spider Silva, even though it's heavyweight? Or you knew right away it was another Anderson Silva, another good fighter?
No, actually, I was really excited because the first time I was fighting like African. Then the second one was like a guy from Asia. The third one was a real European. So I was happy, like, okay, cool. I'm American Brazilian, so I'm not fighting like a Brazilian or American, so it's okay, you know what I mean? And then they keep like changing my opponents. People got hurt, always like last minute change. So I don't deal with that. I don't like this is stressful. So I said, Ali, that's my manager. Ali, just take care of that with my coaches, and I don't care. Just find the name, and of course they talk, but I don't like to get involved. And when they come up with the name, I said, "Oh my God, man! So long to wait to fight a Brazilian, and especially somebody like him that I know him." So I know wasn't Spider because I know Anderson. So he's a Brazilian too. We met a couple of years ago, but I knew it wasn't the Spider.
And Marcos, it is a good matchup. Two Brazilians battling it out. What makes Brazil is very good in soccer. Also, Brazil is very good in combat sports, MMA, and different types of fighting, Muay Thai. What makes Brazil such a place for that type of athlete?
Yeah, man, it's hard to say, but I don't know. Maybe Brazilians don't like to work, so we put everything in the sport.
Hey, Marcus, it's still work. Fighting is still work.
But I mean, I can't call my like a work, you know, because that's something that we love. I love to be. A lot of people ask me, "Oh, when you're gonna retire?" But that's my answer is always the same because, man, if I retire, I have to work. So that's why I fight, you know. So I think everybody thinks the same way because for us, it's a pleasure, it's a passion, it's a hobby, and of course, it's always. I'm joking, but it's our profession. But it's something that we love. We don't care to train, to wake up, and every day do the same thing. So maybe it's kind of true too because we don't want to work with anything else besides doing what we love. That's fighting, and maybe that's why.
Well, Marcus, when you have this big fight against Anderson Silva, and when you win the fight, so I'll be optimistic for you. When you win the fight, what do you think of victory? Where does that get you next? Where does that lead you to after this fight? What do you think?
Yeah, of course, anything that I do in my life, I hope the best. You know, every fight that I step in on the mat, I don't think, oh, maybe I'm going to win. Of course, I put my 100% that I'm going to win. So that's my mentality. There is no other like thoughts in my head, and I'll do my best to win, of course, and that's what I hope always. But in my life, I always like to think about today. You know what I mean? So it's been really hard to finally fight. So. But I didn't fight yet until the cage closed the door and we touch gloves and fight. Okay, then I'm making my debut. But before that, a lot of things happened. Supposed to be February, got pushed to March, April, and then we're here like almost the end of the year. So first, I want to make sure that I get my debut, and after that, I'm gonna think about my second fight. But for now, it's still a week to go, and I hope everything happens good and we finally have a chance to make it happen.
Marcus, how challenging is that when you're going to be set for a fight and it keeps getting pushed back and just trying to deal with that mentally as well as physically?
It's It's not something nice, something that I like it, but it's something that happens, right? So I like to think about like the stoicists. So if you can't change anything, you have to accept, right? So that's how I take everything in my life. What you can't change, you have to accept. So once they call me, okay, your fight got pushed. I say, oh, that sucks, but it is what it is. Let's keep training. Let's get ready to next. So I'm not the kind of guy, oh my God, why me? Why me? Oh God. So no, it is what it is. If you can fix it, it is. You know what I mean? So you have just to accept and deal with it and deal with that.
Hey, what do you think about this heavyweight division in one championship? A lot of really good divisions in one championship. You're in the heavyweight, so I wanted to get your thoughts on the heavyweight division.
Yeah, I remember when I signed over a year ago, every time I was looking, one was signing like a big name too. I said, oh my God, it's getting better and better. So it's always great to see I'm fighting like one of the best and the biggest organization in the world with a lot of big names along with me in the division. So it's something great. And I just feel honored to be fighting, to have opportunity to fighting against these big names. And it just, now I have just to wait and see what's going to be, you know. So they have that is a big potential fight in this card, that who wins probably going to fight for the title, right? And I'll be there watching and learning and studying. So Arjan, the champion, probably going to be watching to this event because of this fight that's coming up. So I'm just happy to be in the mix.
Well, a few more questions for you, and thank you so much for the time. I believe you mentioned Steve Mocco from American Top Team.
Yes, like I said, Cartel Cubes, Steve Mocco.
I want to get to Steve. I want to get to Steve Mocco. Great wrestler. How have you fared? How have you fared in his dungeon? Because he has his own room at American Top Team. Yes. What is that dungeon like?
My God, training with him is something people has no idea how tough, how hard the training with him is. So after the first person that I trained, of course, besides Cara de Sapato, the first person that I trained there was Stevie Mocco. So I remember it was one Saturday, and I said, hey, Cara de Sapato, because he's my big friend. I'm living with him now. I'm his roommate because I'm living in his house. I remember I said, hey, Sapato, can you set up like Steve? Because, man, I would love to train with him to feel like, because he's a great wrestler. And one of the reasons that, of course, I want to like be able to learn to take people down to jiu-jitsu and make a lot of sense to train with like a great wrestler, right? So Stevie, one of the best that ever happened. And he was there, American Top Team. Sapato said, yeah, for sure. He set up the training. I remember I got from Brazil, straight from the airport. I went to American Top Team to train. And I remember after the session, I was 1 week sore, my neck. I couldn't move my neck because he was like so hard training. And I said, oh my God, this guy is like a real deal. I knew already, but it's one thing when you watch and one thing when you train. So I had the opportunity to get beat up by him really bad. He beat me up really bad, and so I said, oh my God, it's going to be amazing for me to train with this guy like not every day, but every week. So that was one of the reasons too that I said, you know what, besides all the other coaches, I know Steve is going to be here teaching, so that's going to be the best change for me, 100%. Then I make the move because it was hard. 10 years in California, I didn't want to leave, right? I had all my like 10 years living there. But after I felt the training, I met everyone, all the coaches. I said, you know what, let's do it. That's the right place.
And in making that decision, how did you make the connection to American Top Team? Was it through your friend that you were able to make the connection to get into American Top Team?
Yeah, because like I live in 10 years, the past 10 years, I used to live in California, but 11 years ago, 1 year before California, I used to live in Florida, a little bit north in Jupiter. So I have like a big friend, like an older brother for me. His name is Rafael Chaves. So I was living with him 11 years ago in Jupiter. And Cara de Sapato, I know since I was 17 years old, when I was blue belt, we used to fight against each other. And Cara de Sapato was living in Florida, and Rafael, he was living here too. So both of them was like pushing me like, hey, you have to come here. The training is better, because they saw in California, I was like struggling because I had to drive everywhere to go find training. Every training was a different gym. Conditioning one place, boxing one place, Muay Thai in one place, Jiu-Jitsu in one place. So in wrestling, I was kind of to find a coach, making him drive. So it was being hard, and they knew it. So they were pushing me. So I knew I had like two big friends, because when you move to a place that you don't know nobody, it's hard. So when you have like two big friends supporting you, so it was like a big help for me. So I decided, because of them, I gave like, okay, let's try. And then I came like 2 or 3 times to American Top Team, because it was in the middle of the pandemic. So the gym was closed, nobody could get in. So I had to have like to ask them, to ask Kona, to ask them, then Lambert to come to visit, and they like it. They say, yeah, you're welcome. You can come. So I went there, trained for a week. Then I went back to California, then came back 1 more week. Then I said, you know what? It's time to make a move. Then I pack everything in my car and just came.
And Marcus, when you were in Jupiter, and by the way, 2 nice areas, Jupiter, Florida, and Coconut Creek, that's South Florida area as well. But when you came to Jupiter, were you training in MMA or any type of fighting at that time?
Actually, when I went to Jupiter, the name of the gym was Armory, and back at the time, Edson Barbosa was living there already, and Banha, Luis Kane, former UFC fighter, he was living there too. I remember Rafael Chaves, we used to fight at the time MMA too, Eduardo Guedes. And then I went there. So I wasn't training MMA, but I was kind of like helping them to train. Kane was a big guy. So a lot of times I was helping him to do some training, jiu-jitsu training. And that was my first experience at all with MMA. So I remember I was training with these guys. Of course, they were lighter than me. Just Kane was this kind of like the same weight. So I had opportunity to train. And of course, that is like a striking coach is always around. So I was like, hey, you know what? Can I do something? Then I was doing some boxing, some Muay Thai once in a while, but not something like constantly. And I remember I was there. So 2 months after I was there, Marlon Moraes, he moved to Florida, to move to Florida from Brazil. And yeah, I forgot to mention Marlon Moraes is one of these guys that I met in 2011, and he's still in Florida. Still, he trains the American Top Team too. He was actually was Cara de Sapato, Chaves, and Marlon, the guys that were like, yeah, you have to come here, you're gonna like. So, and I remember that was the beginning for me, but wasn't really. I wasn't thinking about to do the transition at the time, because I just got the black belt, but that was it. So now everybody is still together. Just Luis went to Brazil, but Barbosa is still there, Marlon is still there, Cara de Sapato is still there, Rafael is still there. So we hang out all the time, we train together. So it's been great. Remembering like a reunion from 10 years, 11 years ago.
The team is still together. And I'm curious, and I got to wrap this up. 2 more questions, but I'm so curious at this one now, Marcus. So when the guys are all together, how much back and forth is there between you all and Brazil? and Santiago in Argentina, especially when Argentina is playing soccer against Brazil.
He was so happy some of these days because Argentina beat Brazil in the final. So we had to listen a lot from him. We have to take a lot from him. But Santiago is the biggest Pelé fan. He is. So he talk about Maradona, but we know deep inside he's the biggest Pelé fan. So Santiago, we know you. You love Pelé way more than Maradona. So we don't blame you. That's okay. It's all good.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And lastly, Marcus, we have this big fight coming up. One Championship Revolution. In America, it starts 6:30 a.m. Friday, September 24th. It's from Singapore. And I'm curious because, listen, all the fighters have to go through this. How is the time difference for you coming from here, having to fight over there, and just dealing with the time difference over there when your fight is ready?
Like I said, it is what it is. I don't even think about it. Of course, if I could go out of the hotel, it would be easier because we have to quarantine here, because to see the sun, to be outside helps a lot. So that's one of the ways to acclimate easier, to get the jet lag like away. But we can do that. So I just try to be like watching the sunlight as much as I can, to be in the sun. I go to the pool, but it is what it is, and it's bad for me, but it's bad for everyone as well. So, like I said, stoicism mindset, and we don't complain. We just accept and deal with that. But being honest, I'm used to, because I used to compete a lot in Abu Dhabi, and we used to get there 5 days before, 6 days before the competition, and was from California to Abu Dhabi was 12 hours difference. And Florida to Singapore is exactly 12 hours too. So I knew what to expect, and I kind of know how to deal. Sometimes in the middle of the afternoon, if you feel like sleepy, you want to like take just a nap, don't do that, because you're going to sleep for like 10 hours straight, and you're going to mess up. So just wait a little bit. So I knew it would be hard. So I bring like a couple moves to watch, and you have YouTube, Netflix, so it helps a lot to kill the time. And
Marcos, what movie did you bring?
Actually, I have the app, so I can choose anyone. But yesterday I was with my master here, Leonardo Vieira. It's been my master. Like, I'm training with him since I got my black belt. So I said, "Hey Leo, what are you doing?" I said, "Oh no, just chilling." I said, "Hey, you want to get some Asian food? Like, what are you talking about?" So, "Hey, let's go there, Singapore." Then he came here, but I didn't tell him everything, all the details about quarantine and not leaving the hotel. So at least we're sharing like some time together and watching movies. And yesterday we just watched Inglourious Bastards. So yeah, so one of Tarantino, I'm Tarantino fan. So I think that one of the reasons that I was in California because I love so much the movie industry. So it's something that I want to be involved in. When I stop fighting, I want to be involved somehow. Of course, I'm saying that I want to work with it. I'm an actor, but I want to be involved. So when I was there, I had the opportunity to meet some actors, and they always say, "Hey, come here to the studio to see how the movie's like filming and blah, blah, blah." That's always my dream, but because I was so focused training, oh no, the competition, let's go another day, I don't want to skip training, I missed the opportunity. So, but once I have like a free time, I'm gonna go back to California to visit and to be more involved with the film industry. So I like to train with the actors as much as I can. So if I have the opportunity to meet like directors and actors like Tarantino, would be for me, it would be like a dream come true. I got this from my dad. I grow up watching movies with my dad because he's a big fan too. So for me, it's great.
Oh, we could talk for 20, 30 minutes more. We're not, but we could. Just on movies. Pulp Fiction, Inglourious Bastards, any Quentin Tarantino is just amazing work. And that's a bucket list right there, to be involved in something like that. You've got really great size. And South Florida is involved in movie making as well. Not as big as Hollywood, of course, not as big as California. But I'm going to tie this all together. because sometimes one championship is shown on TNT, the channel TNT here in America. And there's a group called All Elite Wrestling. It's a pro wrestling group, and they're on TNT every Wednesday. And Dan Lambert, who you mentioned, of American Top Team, has been on AEW with Junior Dos Santos, with Jorge Masvidal, with Kayla Harrison, Paige Van Zant. I'm curious, if you get the invite to just be with him, just to be in the ring, you don't have to wrestle. Is that something you might do to be on the show?
Of course, 100%. I'll be there. And actually, you told about the TNT, the show. I'm supposed to be in that show when Adriano Moraes fought
Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson.
Yes, I'm supposed to fight the same show, but my opponent got hurt, so I didn't have the opportunity. But would be great, to be in that show. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. But yeah, 100%. That would be 100% in. And another thing you're talking about, but I remember Brandon Vera was making a lot of movies, right? He's big star here in Asia, so it's great to see this, because of course Brandon Vera from one, a lot of from UFC fighters have a lot of appearance in movies, Hollywood movies too. So that's something that I like a lot to watch, especially when I see fighters making movies. That's something amazing for me.
Well, Marcos, thank you so much for the time. All the best to you in One Championship. Go get them.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It was a great talk, and I hope we can talk more about the fight with good results.